Okay, so it's Dr. Learn Code Yourself, and we're going to go ahead and see how high order array functions methods go ahead and work. We've got forEach right over here. We've got the map method. We've got sort. And we're going to see how all of these work. Now, one thing that's common, ubiquitous, among each of these methods is that they're awesome. The second thing that's ubiquitous is that they all take a callback function, which means that you're going to have a function within the parentheses of the method that's going to execute on each element within this array. I love it. So let's start with forEach. What does that look like? Well, one, that function is going to take a parameter, an argument. And that argument, you can call it anything. You could have said hobo on the street. But I'm just going to call it E because that's much easier. So we could just say E stands for element, each element within this array. Now, what I want to do is I want to run a function for each element within that array. Only one time. Well, how do I do that? Very easy. Let's run a function that will console log each of these elements onto our display here. So it'll be right here. I'm going to go ahead and clear our console log, and then you guys can see that in real time. I don't know why it's moving down, so let me just try that one time. Okay, awesome. So let's see what that looks like. I could easily say console.log, and because we're in a forEach method, it knows to do this for each element within the array. That's what I love about it. So console.log, and then we'll say E. That's simple, right? And look, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Isn't that awesome? That is so awesome. So this just executed a function for each element in the array. What if I didn't want to manipulate the element in the array, right? If I don't want to manipulate the element in the array, I just want to do something a certain number of times for each element on the array. So I could say console.log, the famous hello world, right? Well, that works too. I can literally do whatever I want for every element in the array. What was the old school method of doing this? It was this: for, and then you would do this, and then you would say let I equal 0, and then you would put this here, and then you would say I less than array dot length, and then you will go ahead and put another, and then you would put this, of course, can't forget I. Great. So this is going to say, all right, let's create a variable, let's initialize it at 0, and then let's go ahead and say every time that 0 is less than array.length, right? I'll go ahead and say less than or equal to. Actually, let's just say less than. That's way easier. And I could have initialized it at 0. I could have initialized it at 1. I could have done a lot of things, but because the array indexes at 1, subscribe is actually at the 1 index here, I'm just going to put 0, right? And then I'd go here, bang, and immediately we put in the same code. We would say console dot log in there. I can say this time it'll actually be array, and then I denote the index. All right, and it's the same thing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. So which one looks easier? This here, which in this case we would have put E here and E here, right? This over here, or this? Well, it's up to your preference. Now, we understand for each is awesome. It also doesn't really return a value. I'm telling it to do something here, but what if I just said I want it to take that element and then I want it to, I don't know, store it in a variable. Let's call it data, and set that equal to each element, right? Let's say I want to do something like this. And let's see here, I may be missing a bracket. Let's just double check. Okay, so this is here, that's great. That's there, that's great. This over here, yeah, it all looks great to me. So let's say I want to do something like that. And let's go ahead and just eliminate this for a second. So this is actually not going to do anything because the for each method is going to run and then this is gone. It disappears. It'll go ahead and store each of these elements in here. Let's say each time. But if I were to say array dot, or let's say I just want to console.log data, right? So if I said console.log data, so it's not defined. It doesn't exist. Now also it's scoped in here, but the thing is nothing's returning here, and that's where we get the almighty map method. Now let me show you how the map method works. Let me also clear this out. So map works very similar to for each, but this is how the map method works. So we got map, great, and it also takes in a callback function. Let's just call it E to represent every element within this array here. So actually move the array down so that you guys can see it a little better. I'll press the enter button here. Okay, great. So we've got this here. Now we're gonna map it out. I actually, something horrendous here, so never mind me. Here, there we go, bam, there we go. Excellent. So we've got this. Let me go ahead and do that. And then let's look at here. If I say E, let's actually just say return E, right? Well, what's gonna happen here is this is actually a value. What we now have is it's probably gonna be, honestly, the last E, because that's what this function is going to return. So if I say let data equal this over here, mind you, we ran this function for each element in the array. Now this may not make sense, but I want to make things very simple. So console.log, let's say data. So it literally took all of these and put them into an array. I didn't have to do that. Map did that. That's why it's better than for each if you actually want to return values. Oh my God. I didn't have to create a variable over here in the body at all. It just did that for me. What if I was more gutsy than that? What if I, instead of even storing it in a variable, I just went console.log, bam. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Will it still log it? Yes, it did. That's why we love the map method. It can do things like that. So awesome. Love it. High order. High order. We're talking about the highest of the high. The highest of the high. The highest order array functions. Okay, next. Sort. How does sort work? Well, instead of these elements, let's go ahead and make it simple. Let's say 1, 2, 3. And then out of nowhere, let's just put 12. Okay, now in this situation, we want to sort this. So let's actually put 9 here in the front, right? Because we want to sort that. Let's sort this from greatest to least. Super easy. Now, if I were to hit sort, the issue is there's a certain way you need to use it, and you have to throw in that callback function. All you people who are using sort without a callback function, you're noobs. Okay? Because never is the data really going to be that easy. All right? Use a callback function, please. So this is how it's going to look. We can say array dot sort. We knew that. But now in here, if I were just hit sort and console.log this, I'm going to show you why this is wrong. Okay. Because 12 is not bigger than 2. But the sort method thinks that that's the case because it's only sorting the first value within the element 12. So how do we fix that? Well, we give it a callback function like I told you, and this is how we do that. It's going to take in 2 parameters, this callback function. So I'm going to put in something anonymous in here. So I can say A and then comma B. A is going to represent the first element, the first index, 0. And then the second element, 1. And then it's going to keep switching and running a conditional for each pair until it gets to the end. And once it's true, it'll actually manipulate this array here. So I don't even have to store this in a variable. So the way that this looks is that you want to do a callback function just as we always have. I know it looks like I have a lot of different things here, and that's just because I have the console.log around everything. So I'm going to remove the console.log so that it doesn't look crazy for anybody who's still a beginner. Okay, so we can do that. Let's call this anonymous function, bang, come there, here. And we can just literally run a conditional. We'll say return A now minus B. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, all right, I'll run this conditional. You're telling me you want me to check if A minus B is a positive number. Well, then that means that A is bigger than B, which means that A should go behind B. But if A minus B is a negative number, then that means B is bigger than A, and therefore A should go behind. Sorry. B is bigger than A. Sorry. B is bigger than A, which means A should go behind B, right? No, I said that wrong twice. Which means that B is bigger, so B should go behind A. I don't know why I did that several times. I'm not even going to edit this out because that was funny. But, alright, at this point, this is what the function is going to do. Now, if I'm not a complete derelict, if I console.log array, it should be sorted. Excellent. So that's how it works. Now, if I said b minus a, it would actually sort it the other way around. There we go. So that's how high order array methods work. I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. I try to make it as quick as possible, but even I got a little stumped there. So don't think that you're never done with this coding journey, and you guys are going to learn code. I know you will, because this is one of the most beautiful things to live for. Dr. Learn Code Yourself, please subscribe. Love you all.